one of the biggest differences I noticed between our players and some of the Spanish teams that we played friendlies against was kind of the speed of decision making and having an idea. And that was coming from like having an idea of what they were going to do with the ball before they even received it. Like you could tell they were scanning more. They weren't bigger, they weren't faster, than our players. I would say actually our players were probably bigger, faster, the typical kind of thing associated with American soccer. But they just moved the ball so quickly. Their scanning, their movement off the ball was far superior.
I think we are getting so caught up in the mechanical parts, and I mean, you got like scanning, yes, you got fitness, agility, all that stuff. But I still hear so many coaches saying, "Hey, you do this now. Now you get the ball. Hey, pass it. Hey, let's do that."
Right.
And then there's you. So you're doing all these other things, but your players have no creativity.
So I know I did that, earlier in my coaching, career and starting. There was a lot more joysticking and do this, do that. Always telling them what to do. And I've kind of changed that now to I'm kind of asking questions even during the game. What do you see? What do you see? What are your options?
Yes.
Where should you be? Where should you be? Where's the space? Who's open? It's just like I try to change it to, instead of telling them what to do, just ask questions.
All right. So today on EvoToca, I have Zeph, and I initially found out about Zeph through his company EyesUpSoccer, and I was very fascinated with scanning after taking a seminar in Dallas where a French coach spoke about how we use different ways to challenge players on scanning. He had trained Paul Pogba, Mendy, some other players, Payet, and this began my fascination with scanning and challenging players cognitively. And then I came across EyesUpSoccer, and then I was obsessed with it. So I purchased the original set of bibs, and because I was so happy with it, I wanted to get a customized set. But this is not something that I have come across in terms of how important scanning is in the game. And Zeph, I saw, and what also captured my interest was your bio on your website about what inspired you to do this. So if you could explain to us how this came about to you and what you noticed between American soccer players and what you saw in Europe.
Yeah, so I have a younger son who plays. He's 11, so he's on, I guess, going into this next season will be a U12. But we've gone to Spain 2 times now, and we went this last April, and then we went previous year in March or April as well. And it was like the first time I went, just one of the biggest differences I noticed between our players and some of the Spanish teams that we played friendlies against was kind of the speed of decision making and having an idea. And that was coming from like having an idea of what they were going to do with the ball before they even received it. Like you could tell they were scanning more, and they weren't bigger, they weren't faster, than our players. I would say actually our players were probably bigger, faster, the typical kind of thing associated with American soccer. But they just moved the ball so quickly. Their scanning, their movement off the ball was far superior to ours. So I was, I'm like, what are some ways to improve this and to try and help my team and our kids start scanning more, start trying to learn to make decisions before the ball even comes to them, and to have ideas before they actually receive the ball. So it was kind of started from that trip.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know too about your background in the game, even before your son coming along.
I grew up playing. I started playing, AYSO grassroots when I was 5.
Did your parents play?
No, they did not.
So how did you
So
get into it? Just random?
random. My mom
Okay.
signed me up, and I kind of fell in love with it immediately. But I grew up in a small town in Arizona. We didn't have club soccer where I grew up. So all we had was AYSO and AYSO All Stars. We called it travel team at the time. So I joined All Stars when that started, and we would go do tournaments in Phoenix and Tucson, and occasionally we would come out to like California or go even to New Mexico to play a tournament. So I did that, played LSO, played All Stars, played high school, and that's where my career ended. And I still play men's leagues, but
you still play men's leagues.
I still play men's leagues. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, and was your interest in soccer always strong, or did it come later?
The coaching obviously came later. But I always loved playing. I always loved being out there. It was just an environment where I felt free. And it was like growing up, you had a whole, at least AYSO. And at that time, none of these coaches had ever played, right? They're out there with their son. None of them had an idea what they're doing. It was still 11v11 at 6 years old, right? So it was just bunch ball.
That's insane.
Huge goals at 6, 7 years old, full field. Like, it was crazy. But, coaches didn't even know what they're doing at all. So you're just free. And it was fun.
Oh, so wait, so you're saying you had less instruction than what a lot of players might have today?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, and that made it fun. That definitely doesn't hurt any kid's experience. I mean, I know today you have a lot of coaches who scare kids out of the game. I've had multiple players in one team where players are like, my son is scared to play.
Right. They're scared to make mistakes. And I feel as coaches, we have to be patient, encourage mistakes, and let them, they got to find solutions themselves.
Yeah. So, and man, that's the biggest thing that I think is, I don't know how big this issue is in America, but from what I see, I think we are getting so caught up in the mechanical parts and I mean, you got like scanning, yes, you got fitness, agility, all that stuff, but I still hear so many coaches saying, hey, you do this now. Now you get the ball. Hey, pass it. Hey, let's do that.
Right.
And then there's you. So you're doing all these other things, but your players have no creativity.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's also. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think as we grow as coaches and develop ourselves, even as coaches, hopefully you learn to do less of that. The longer you coach. I know I did that, earlier in my coaching, career and starting. There was a lot more joysticking and do this, do that, always telling them what to do. And I've kind of changed that now I'm kind of asking questions, even during the game. What do you see? What do you see? What are your options? Yes. Where should you be? Where should you be? Where's the space? Who's open? It's just like, I try to change it to, instead of telling them what to do, just ask questions. I'm just asking, like, can you find the solution? So I'm learning to change my approach. Of course, occasionally I'm still telling them what to do. It's a hard habit to break, but I'm getting there. So
Yeah, and one of the things that you said too is very important is the asking questions part, because some what I'm doing now is sometimes, like, if my player makes a mistake, I'll talk to him after and say, "Hey, you
Yeah,
should have done this." But now what I try to do is, if they make a mistake, I'll say, "If you could do that over again, what else would you have done?"
right,
And sometimes
right.
they give you the exact answer, the correct answer, many of the time. So that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Um, and compared to what you knew about the game growing up, and when you started coaching with your son, how did this involvement in youth soccer change your perspective on how things are done? Like, did it change from the time that you were a player and a coach?
I mean, it's extremely different compared to my experience playing. Um, I mean, the kids today, I mean, they're so much better than I was as a player, and I think really
Mhm.
the coaching has improved significantly. I mean, you know, I grew up in an AYSO environment, so of course, and I can't compare it to maybe someone who grew up in a city and played
Mhm.
club soccer and say that, you know, late 80s, 90s, whatever the case may be. But I would definitely venture to say I'm sure it's improved even since then.
Okay. And of all the aspects of coaching in youth soccer, is there any particular aspect of the game or aspects of the game that you focus on a lot for around your son's age, 11, 12 years old?
Yes, and I would say it's changed recently as well. Like I feel like at 9, 10 years old, a lot of it was just kind of like technical ability, first touch, direction of your touch, you know, just controlling the ball and then getting your head up, you know, making a decision. Um, Still kind of like real, you know, basic fundamentals. And we brought in one of the coaches I met on this last trip from Spain. We brought him over to train our team, and he came out for a
Mm-hmm.
week, and I just kind of shadowed him. You know, picked up cones, was just taking notes. You know, observing, trying to learn, asking questions from him,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really interesting. He's a UEFA pro licensed coach, and in like the first couple sessions, I noticed it surprised me he wasn't giving a ton of instruction. And when he would start the exercises, he'd run each one for roughly 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 25. But it would start out, he'd explain the exercise to them, you know, what they were going to do. But he didn't really tell them how to do it or, you know, what he was looking for. And the exercise would
Mm.
start off, and the first 7, 8, 9 minutes would just look terrible. Like, and I'm watching them like, man,
Oh.
I'm like, what's going on here? These kids look like they don't know how to play. But and I'm watching him, and he's patient, and he's not still not giving a ton of instruction. And as soon as somebody will kind of find the solution that he was looking for, bravo, bravo, you know, just a ton of
Oh,
praise.
that's
And then all of a sudden,
interesting.
another kid does it, right? Then another kid does it. And by the 15th, 20th minute, all of a sudden the exercise is kind of humming and they're understanding what they're supposed to do.
Mm.
So it was like a light bulb went off on my head in terms of like, really, and I asked him, he's like, no, I don't. Let them find the solutions. They got to find it. You can help them. You can bring them in. You might pause it, ask them some questions. When you see what you're looking for, you praise it, and the other kids will hear it and they'll notice it and they'll start doing it and they'll start, and the exercise will eventually, hopefully,
Like
look like what
that.
you're looking for. But so that,
Man, I like
yeah,
that. Mhm.
go ahead. Sorry.
You can go. You can go. I want you
Okay.
to finish.
Yeah, but so I think like that's a big thing I'm trying to incorporate now in my coaching is more patience. And if it doesn't look like I want it to look immediately, just breathe. You know, give them some
Yeah.
time, see if they figure it out, and if not, fine. Bring them in 10, 12 minutes. Maybe give them a little bit more instruction or ask some questions. Right, get them thinking about what they can do, what could be different, what kind of solutions they need to be trying to find. Um, I'm trying to incorporate that more
Mm,
uh, into
yeah.
my coaching. You know, I'm trying to really develop the mental side, the intelligence, because I feel as we don't lack physically, we don't lack technically. As American players, a lot of it just really seems decision making and rushing. I feel like as American players, we're just constantly in a rush. Go, 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 go! Like trying to get forward, trying to go, go. All the parents, go, go, go. It's like just
Yeah.
relax, breathe, change the tempo. Right? That's another thing I'm trying to implement is like you don't have to be the same tempo every time. Right? Boom, short, 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 long. Fast, fast, slow it up. Change it. Like just
Mhm.
I'm trying to get them to think about those types of things. Now they're in like 11, 10, 11, going to be 12. But like the mental aspect of it, decision making, tempo change, like rhythm change. Like, can we start implementing a little bit of this into our game? Because like this last trip to Spain, we did what's called the Tar Cup. And it was a tournament for only, at the time we were U11. So it's for all 10-year-old kids. Tournament strictly for 10-year-olds, 50 teams, and it was a fantastic experience. We played Barcelona's academy, and you see their decision making and the movement off the ball, and you're like, oh yeah, like there's the levels to this are crazy. And then watching like the semifinal and the final, like I watched them play, Real Betis, and then there's a French team. I'm gonna mispronounce it, but like Bilbao and Real Madrid, and like you're like, yeah, that's like a big part of where we're lacking, in American. I think is like decision making, thinking about rhythm, tempo, those kinds of things, and I don't know. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
implement some more of that uh, into the training, and still, of course, technical, controlling the ball, but to get them thinking, because ultimately
Man,
they play the game, they got to make the decisions, you know. So
correct. Correct. And I was gonna say what you said is being patient and being okay with it being ugly.
yeah, yeah, I think you
Because
have to be.
anytime it's ugly, I rush into it. I'm like, no, no, this is
Hmm.
ugly. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
but I don't give
it,
enough time for the players to figure it out.
yeah.
Man, that's a really good one. I'm gonna. Hmm.
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, I learned that recently, and it's something because I would have done the same thing. I'd have rushed in. Oh, stop! Stop! What are you doing? And
Yeah.
now I'm learning to become more patient and let it be ugly a little bit, and have faith that they're gonna figure
Man.
it out.
Yeah.
So
Have faith. Have faith.
yeah.
Because I never had an issue with not telling them or not instructing them too much in game situations,
Mm.
because I guess by 10, 11 they kind of have an idea, so it's not completely ugly. But in drills, new drills that they had to think a lot, that sometimes they are so ugly it hurts to
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah.
So having that
Yeah.
patience is hard.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. It's
Um. Mhm. And what I know you spoke a little bit about it on what inspired you, like when you saw the difference between how they play in Spain and how we play in America in terms of starting Eyes Up Soccer. But as this, at least as far as I understand, this motivated you to start Eyes Up Soccer, and I'm curious to know what is your hope or desire or wish that you hope to get through Eyes Up Soccer.
Uh, I think it would be. I hope it's a tool that can help improve decision making for players and help them mm, have an idea of what they're going to do with the ball before they receive it, or at least hopefully before. If not before, obviously depending on the age, but at least when they have it, to pick their head up and scan and see what their options are, and then make their decision. But that the head's
And
got to be up to make a decision.
correct. And for
So
anyone who doesn't know, Eyes Up Soccer, their main product are pennies or bibs. They also have some other products, but at least as far as I'm concerned, your main product is the
yep,
pennies and the bibs.
yes,
Yeah, and then the bibs. So normally, whenever we play with bibs, the whole bib is one color.
right,
So you don't really have to do that much scanning because the colors between players' bibs are so different. But in this one, all the bibs are the same except on the top part of the bib. So you can't
correct.
just do a simple glance like you do on typical bibs, and you have to pay more attention. And then you have, and I'm excited about the penny that I have, but it's even more advanced. You have to pay so much more attention. And I liked, and I know I told you before this podcast, but the reason I like this penny is because it exposes players who look up after they get the ball.
Mm.
It's gonna expose you because you're gonna be like, who do I pass to? Wait, what color is he?
Right,
'Cause you know what I mean.
right.
So you have to have an idea of where players are before, because when players are moving in real time and you're trying to decide while you're under pressure, it's gonna expose players who think slowly.
It will.
So that's why I love these pennies. And the best way to get players to look up is not by telling them, but to create a drill or some scenario where you're forcing them
Right,
to do what you want them to do.
right, right.
So
Exactly.
that's why I like it so much.
And it's
And
interesting. Even
in turn,
oh, I'm sorry.
no, go.
Even like advanced players sometimes struggle with it. Like I did a custom order for USL for the next level USL team that they have in Arizona, and the coach responded to me.
How old are they?
It's a USL, so semi pro team.
Oh, USL.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he ordered a set of custom bibs for me, and he said when he implemented them, even his USL pro semi pro team had a little bit of issue, and it took him a minute to get used to like really, you know, getting their eyes up, making the decisions, and it even challenged them. And this is a pro semi pro team, so if you can implement this at a younger age and get them used to getting those eyes up,
Yeah.
making decisions, then the earlier the better.
Correct. To where it's instinctive.
Right.
Which is what I want to do. And do you, man, and you already mentioned some really good things, and you may not have much to add on this question, but you already said some really good things. Is what advice would you give to youth soccer coaches looking to enhance their training methods?
Um, I mean,
And you gave some really
as
good ones.
yeah, it's a broad question, and obviously some of it is age,
Mm.
you know, age specific. I mean,
Oh, age specific.
but young.
Correct.
I mean, I think younger, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just on the ball. Sorry, on the ball as much as possible. But I think, I think
Okay.
most people know that.
Okay.
But I think for me, and this could change in 2 years. I'm always growing as a coach, but I think patience and letting them find solutions themselves, I really think is key right now in my eyes. And maybe that's just because
Mm-hmm.
I've just gotten exposed to this Spanish coach who came in, and it just kind of like, light bulb went off and kind of blew my mind in terms of how patient he was, and letting the exercise develop, and just praising those moments where he was seeing what he wanted to see. And then another thing I
Mm-hmm.
really liked is he would come at the end of the session, which we try and do now, is we just sit all the boys down, and we would kind of ask them about each exercise we did that day. We'd take 5 minutes, I guess, a cool down, and just have them think a little bit. Why do we do it? And we'll ask them, well, why do you think, why were we doing that? What do you think we're trying
Mm-hmm.
to learn? What are we trying to gain from that exercise, from that experience? So
Mm-hmm.
challenge the decision making, and develop the mental part. I think technically and physically, we have strong, strong players in America. I think it's if we can get
Mm-hmm.
that other piece in our players, then maybe they could start doing some special things, such as I hope they can.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And for the last question, and I know I may have touched on this before, but do you have like, or what are your future plans for Eyes Up Soccer, or do you have any other projects or innovations that you're excited about, maybe expanding on what you currently have?
Uh, I've been thinking about that. Right now, I don't have any. I'll be curious though to hear your feedback on the new bibs that
Mm.
you ordered, because maybe that's something I try and implement in the future as well. I'm really excited to hear feedback from you on how your team reacts to the custom bibs that you ordered, and so that could be a
Some,
potential,
some.
another kind of product that we initiate as well. Um, no, I don't have any others
Okay.
right now.
All
Yeah.
right. Other than that, man, Zeph, thanks again. That's all we have. Stay tuned.